All right, so our topic of discussion today is going to be Ohm's law. What is Ohm's law? You may think of Ohm's law as just being a math equation. And while Ohm's law can be expressed as a math equation, voltage divided by amperage equals resistance, voltage divided by resistance equals amperage, amperage times resistance equals voltage. Ohm's law is much more than just a math equation to us as technicians. The math may not be as important as the principles behind Ohm's law. So Ohm's law is a fundamental principle in physics that describes how voltage, amperage, and resistance relate to one another. Okay? So we have to understand what voltage, amperage, and resistance are. So let's start with voltage. Okay? Voltage is electrical pressure or electrical potential. Okay? Voltage alone can't really do anything. You may have batteries laying around your house right now. Those batteries are storage devices for electrical energy, but until you plug them into a device, they're not really doing anything. So we learned in our last video that electricity is the movement of electrons from one atom to another. So our battery is a storage device for all of these little negatively charged electrons. Now, because they're all negatively charged electrons, and they're all housed really close together inside that battery, those like charges are trying to get away from one another. But they can't, so they're under pressure. They want to move, but they've got nowhere to go. Now, once we create a circuit, then we can start to have current flow, and we can allow those electrons to move. So if we create a circuit by hooking some wires and a light bulb to my battery, electrical current will start to flow and the light bulb will begin to glow. Okay? The movement of those electrons moving down that line through my light bulb and then eventually making their way back into the battery. The movement of those electrons, well, that's current flow. Current flow is measured in amperes, or we may refer to them as amps. Okay? Amperage is how many electrons are flowing, how fast the flow is. Well, not necessarily how fast the flow is, but how many electrons are flowing in a certain amount of time. Okay? So the electrons are trying to go through the circuit. What slows them down? Well, resistance is what's going to slow those down. And the resistance in my circuit that I've drawn here is my light bulb. So the more resistance the circuit has, the less current flow there will be. If we decrease the amount of resistance in the circuit, then current flow will increase. Because remember, anytime we're changing one of these things, we have to keep my entire math equation true. So if I have an automotive battery that is 12 volts, and I have a resistance in this light bulb down here of 3 ohms. We use the omega symbol for ohms. So I have a battery with 12 volts. I have a light bulb with 3 ohms. We can plug that into my math equation over here. 12 volts divided by 3 ohms of resistance means there's going to be 4 amps that is going to flow through that circuit. If we change any one of these things, something else in that math equation is going to have to change. So as resistance goes up, current flow goes down. If resistance flow goes down, current flow goes up. Think about those two things of sitting on opposite ends of the seesaw. If we add more weight to one end, the other end's going to go up. So in summation, voltage is pressure, amperage is current flow, and resistance is opposition to current flow. All 3 of these things must work together, and if we change one of these things, something else must change. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.